The autocorrelation of a random process describes the correlation between values of the process at different points in time. It is defined as expectation of xt1 into xt2, and this is a function of both t1 and t2. So we denote it as rt1 comma t2. Sometimes we also say rxt1 comma t2 to denote that it's a autocorrelation of random variable x. To compute this, if suppose the sample space capital omega is a discrete sample space, then there are single elements in this omegas, and then for every each omega we can compute the value of x omega t1 and x omega t2. We multiply them, and the expectation will be computed as taking all such outcomes, computing this, and multiply weighted it by the probability of that single elements. If it's a constant sample space, then it will basically become an integration over the sample space where you take x omega t1 and x omega t2 product, and then you weigh it by the probability of a interval around omega. And another way to compute autocorrelation is by noting that it's an expectation of xt1 into xt2. So this xt1 is also a random variable and xt2 is also a random variable. If I somehow know the joint distribution of the two, I can also compute the expectation of this. So if I denote x omega t1 as z1 and x omega t2 as z2, and these two are random variables, the autocorrelation can be computed by taking the expectation of z1 into z2. If I know the joint distribution of z1 z2, I can compute this as by an integration of z1 z2 into PDF integration into dz1 and dz2. If z1 and z2 are a discrete random variables, then it can be computed by using the joint PMF. So if I now denote at z1, I write z1 z2 back by x omega t1 and x omega t2. What I get is the autocorrelation at t1 t2 is nothing but expectation of xt1 into xt2, which is given as integration of xt1 into xt2 over the joint distribution of xt1 xt2 into dx1 dx2. So this is a function of both t1 and t2. Let us take an example where x omega t is defined as a cos 2 pi f t plus phi omega, where phi omega is a random variable uniformly distributed over minus pi plus pi. Now in this case, if I have to compute the autocorrelation function, I have to find out xt1 and xt2 and their joint distribution. So I can either do that, or I will also notice that both xt1 and xt2 are nothing but a function of phi. So their expectation can also be computed by writing this product as a function of phi itself. So this product a cos 2 pi f t1 plus phi into a cos 2 pi f t2 plus phi is also a function of phi. So I can also compute the expectation using the distribution of phi. If you multiply them, you will get a square cos 2 pi f t1 plus phi and cos 2 pi f t2 plus phi. You can apply the product formula of cos. You will get a square cos 2 pi f t1 minus t2, and there will be one more term which will have phi in it, cos phi in it. So when you integrate that over the distribution of phi, you will get 0. Only remaining term will be this. Now note that this is not dependent on phi. So this is just a constant for phi. So expectation of a constant is just that constant. So expectation of this would be just equal to a square by 2 cos 2 pi of t1 minus t2. So note that this actually has a special property that autocorrelation function here depends on the difference of t1 minus t2. So if I take t at 0 and t2 at 2 seconds, or I take t1 at 10 seconds and t2 at 12 seconds, both will give you same correlation between the two elements. Let us take another example. Consider a random process xt which takes the following two realizations, this one and this one, with probability half and half. So half of the time you will see this realization, and half of the time you will see this realization. This is 0, this is 1. Someone asks you what is the mean of at half. So at t equal to half, if you just look at this, this will be a random variable. With half probability, this will take this value, and with half probability, this will take this value. If you compute the mean one is negative for another one, so mean would be 0. If now we have to compute the expectation of x half into x3 by 4, so x half into x3 by 4. So this is 1 and x3 by 4 is half. So this product will be minus 1 into minus half, which will be plus half. In this realization also, the product will be 1 into half, which will be 1 half. So now you will notice that half time this product is 1 by 2, and also this half time the product is 1 by 2. So the product is always 1 by 2, so expectation will also be 1 by 2. Similarly, autocovariance of a random process is defined as E x t1 minus mean of t1 into x t2 minus mean of t2. This can also be computed the same way as we have computed the autocorrelation. Now, just like we computed the mean of a random process, ensemble mean of a random process, you can also compute any ensemble average of different functions. So basically, ensemble average are obtained by averaging over the ensemble of sample paths based on their distributions. So we take all the sample paths possible, take their probabilities, compute the value of the function for that sample path, multiply by weight by their probability, and then add it to get the average over these samples. So suppose you have to compute the expectation of gxt, then you can take xt, find out distribution, and then compute the ensemble average of gxt by doing an integration of gx over the distribution of x. Similarly, if h is a function which take two value xt1 and xt2, expectation of this would be the expectation of h of x1 x2 over the joint distribution of xt1 and xt2. A random process is said to be strictly stationary or just stationary if the joint distribution, the finite dimension distribution for any n and for any time values t1 to tn doesn't change if I shift the timeline. So the joint distribution of xt1, xt2 up to xt1 tn is same as the joint distribution of xt1 plus tau, xt2 plus tau, xtn plus tau. So this just means that no matter where the process starts, and if you shift the time axis, the distribution is not going to change. It means you can take these tuples anywhere in the time just to maintain that their distances are same, and you will get the same distribution. So the stationary generally means that if you move ahead in time, or if you change your time axis, shift your time axis, the random process still has the same distribution. It's a stationary with time. This does not mean that the random variable need to be constant. It is a varying time random process, but the distribution would be similar. Okay, so and since this is true for every possible n and every n tuple and every tau, we can take some examples of it. Let's assume n equal to 1. So if n equal to 1, then this just means that the distribution of xt1 should be same as distribution of xt1 plus tau. Right. Another way you can say that the distribution of random variable at time t does not change with time t. Okay. So again, the random variable random process can change over time, but the distribution is going to be same no matter what time instant you look at the random process. And that is somehow telling us what stationary means, that no matter what time you look at the random process, you see the same distribution. Similarly, if you take n equal to 2, then it means the distribution of xt1 and xt2 is same as distribution of xt1 plus tau and xt2 plus tau. So it means the distribution mainly depends of between the delay. So if you fix the delay, if you keep the difference between t1 and t2 same, you will see the same distribution no matter what is the value of t1. Strict stationary is a stricter condition, and it may happen that the random process may not satisfy it. So there are some less strict conditions, less strict properties also, but which is again interesting. There are many random processes which are not strict sense stationary, but they are stationary in the following sense. We call it a wide sense stationary process. A random process said to be a WSS or wide sense stationary process if it satisfies the following two properties. That mean is constant with time. Okay, so I'm not claiming about the distribution of it. I'm only saying its mean is constant with time. And then we say its autocorrelation function is the function of time difference only. So it means expectation of xt1 into xt plus tau is equal to f tau. Or in other words, you can say that expectation of xt1 into xt2 is same as function of t2 minus t1. Only the difference is a function of only the difference. So White's stationary process has less strict condition that we only have to look at mean and autocorrelation function. Mean need to be constant and autocorrelation function need to be just function of the difference between the two time instants. A strict sense stationary, to prove something is strict sense stationary, you have to prove that the joint distribution, finite dimensional distribution is same no matter how many pairs we take. What is the value of n for every order, it should be same. So this means that the distribution of xt1 is same, and also the distribution of xt1 and xt2 joint distribution should only depends on t2 minus t1. Okay, so if those cases are true, then suppose the distribution of xt doesn't change with time, then of course the mean would also be same. Similarly, if the joint distribution of xt1 and xt2 is only a function of t2 minus t1, then also its autocorrelation, which is just the expectation, should also be just function. So a strict sense stationary function is always a wide sense stationary process, but a wide sense stationary process may not be a strict sense stationary. There are some important properties of WSS process which you can verify very easily. One is that autocorrelation is symmetric in time axis. So Rx tau is equal to Rx minus tau. Okay, this can be very much easily proved using the definition of Rx tau. Second thing is Rx tau is less than or equal to Rx0. So the autocorrelation function achieves the maximum value at tau equal to 0. And if there is any other value of tau, its value would only be less. Okay, and that is more intuitive because there is a should be highest correlation when the two values are calculated at the same time. For WSS process, we also define one more metric which is called the power spectral density. Power spectral density or PSD of a WSS is nothing but just the Fourier transform of the autocorrelation function. So if Rx tau is the autocorrelation function, if I take this Fourier transform by multiplying it e to the power minus j 2 pi f t dt and taking an integration, what I get is a power spectral density. We have learned what is the ensemble average of a random variable. We will now understand there is one more average which we call the time average. Remember, random process is a function of two arguments. One is omega, which is outcome, and second is time. So in the ensemble average, we take the random process and average it over different outcomes. So if there are two outcomes, omega 1 and omega 2, we look at its value at x omega 1, and then we also look at its value at x omega 2. Whatever is the value of random process for omega 1 at different time, we multiply by the probability of omega 1, and similarly we whatever the value of random process for omega 2, we take that value, multiply by the probability of omega 2, and add the two to compute that ensemble average. If there are more outcomes, you will take all those outcomes, compute their probability. With those probability, the random process take this particular values for with respect to t, and then we add it. So ensemble average is kind of an average way which is done over different samples, right, or different realization or different outcomes, and there is a weighing by different weighing of the probability. There is a weighing of the value by the probability of that outcome. There's another thing which we call time average. In that case, we actually do an average over the time, not over the outcomes. So we pick one outcome, we take the random process and compute it expectation. Sorry, compute it average. Right? So time average is generally defined as which we denote at xt omega with these brackets. This is equal to the average of xt omega with time, right? So what you can do is you can take different samples at different time, like xt1, xt2, x33, like this over a time period, or and then you can add them and then divide by the total sample number of samples, you will get the average. Because a continuous function, you can also take this sample, this particular realization, and integrate it with respect to t, and then divide by 1 upon 2t to t to compute the average. And then you take limit t tends to infinity. This means that you want to take the complete sample from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, now notice that x omega t here is a function of t and omega. I'm integrating with respect to time, so the whole time is included. So the remaining, the output will not be a function of t because the time has average, but it will be, of course, function of omega, right? If I take different omega, I may get different average values. Okay, so because x omega t can take different values for different omega, and I pick one omega and compute the average. If I take another omega, it can be a different average. So this is just the time average of a single outcome. Similarly, instead of x, I can compute x squared time average by just taking this function x squared and computing its time average. Similarly, I can take a time average of xt into xt plus tau omega. The same way, we take xt omega and xt plus tau omega, we multiply it, and then I will take the time average of this function. Here it will also be a function of omega. This will also be a function of tau. Okay, this will not be a function of t because t has been averaged out. So this will call time average mean, this will call the time average mean square, and this will call the time average autocorrelation. Now the question is, because this is a function of omega, for a different outcome, we will get a different time average. Okay. So now someone asks this question, when I have learned about the ensemble average and the time average, when will they be equal? What are the properties of a random process where I can expect time average and the ensemble average to be same? That's a very interesting property, because then see, what is ensemble average? It means you have to take different realization of random. So if you want to compute the mean of random process at time t, you have to take different realization, do the experiment multiple times, get the different realization, and then you have to average them out to get the ensemble average. Right? If somehow that is equal to a time average, then I don't have to do the experiment multiple times. I just do the experiment one time. I get one realization, and then I just do the average of that. Okay, suppose you are trying to measure the average noise in a device. So to compute the ensemble average, you have to characterize the device multiple times. Every time you get a noise, and then suppose you want the noise at 1 second, so you measure the noise at 1 second in each of these experiments and average it out to get the ensemble average. But if suppose this is equal to time average, then you just do the characterization one time. You collect the noise value at different time. I get one realization of the noise process, and you just take the time average. Okay. So one thing is clear, because this time average depends on omega, depend on the outcome or realization, while the ensemble average is only one. It does not depend on the uh, time average. So it doesn't depend on the outcome, but it does depend on time. So what are the two things we understand? That if they are equal, right? If the time average is equal to ensemble average, recall it's written as expected value of xt. So this ensemble average is a function of time, t, right? In this case, because I'm writing xt naught, it's a function of uh, t naught. While this is not a function of t because I have already computed the expectation. So if the average, so if they are equal, it means the ensemble average need to be also not a function of time. This means the ensemble average should be a constant. So first thing you get is when they can be equal only if the ensemble average is constant. Okay, which means its mean is same. Its mean is constant, not changing with time. Second thing, this ensemble average is the average over outcomes. So is it not a function of outcome because we have already averaged over outcomes. Well, this time average is a function of omega. If you take different realization, different omega, you may get a different time average. So they can't be only equal if, because this is not a function of omega, this is also not a function of omega, right? This means no matter what realization you take, you will get the same time average. Okay, so this is the interesting thing. If you want them to be equal, there are two things. One is the mean should be constant. It doesn't change with time. And second thing, this mean should also not depend on the realization. No matter what realization you take, you always should get the same value. Okay. So this means in the noise example, if you look at, only way you can say that use this result that the time average is equal to ensemble average, and uh, by which enables you to do the experiment only one time. The underlying condition is should be like that. Then no matter if you do one realization of noise and calculates mean, it is same as doing multiple realization, right? So single realization. See, what happened when you do multiple realization? You see different values of noise, right, with some probability. So, suppose I look at a particular value of noise, value of noise at a particular time t, then it's a random variable, right? So this random variable has some probability. Suppose it takes two values, 1 and 2, with some probability, 3/4 and 1/4. Now, if you do this multiple realization and suppose get 100 samples, then also the similar ratio you will see that 3/4 of the 100 times you will see value 1 and 1/4 of the 100 times you will see value 2. Right. So when you compute the average, there is an inherent probability of frequency in this data. Okay. Now, only way that a single realization of noise can also give you same way is when you do a single realization of noise and still get 1/3/4 of the time and 2/1/4 of the time, right? So every realization, no matter if you do just one experiment, no matter how you do, every realization of noise you get, if you observe and find that this realization still has one value 3/4 of the time and two value 1/4 of the time, this means this relation has a similar distribution, right? As if you have done it multiple times. Okay, so that is the property we are looking at, right? If a single realization has all those value with the same kind of frequency or the probability distribution as you could have expected if I fixed the time and then just looked at different realizations. Okay, so this is at the fixed time. If I fix the time and look at different realization and computed the average, or instead I just took one realization, took it, take it or its value at all times and computed the average. If somehow single realization has all those values with the same distribution as you would have expected on different realization at a particular time, then you can expect that the time average would be equal to the ensemble average. Okay, and such processes are actually called ergodic process, which we are going to talk about next. First, I will formally define what is ergodic process, and then we will try to see how this relates to the discussion. Okay, just keep in mind that our goal is to characterize or find some condition for a random process such that every realization has same feel of the values as you could see in different realizations. So first I will define an invariant event. Okay, event A. Okay. Now remember in random variables, what was event? Event was a set of values, right? And when I say that that event has occurred, it means random variable has taken one value out of those set of values. Okay. In the random process case, the event is nothing but a set of realizations. Okay, set of waveforms. So when I say event A, I mean a set of realizations, a set of waveforms. If I say that event has occurred, it means the random process has taken one of the value of in the realization. Okay, so an event is invariant if a particular realization xt comma omega belongs to A, right? Means that its shifted version for every tau will also belongs to A. Okay, so let us try to understand this. This event A is called to be invariant if it has a particular property that any realization which is part of it, its shifted version should also be a part of it. Okay, so is that clear? Invariant set A means if there is a realization in it, all shifted version of this relation should also be a part of A. Then we will call it an invariant set. Okay, what can be example of this? A set which is made from all outcomes such that the random process time average is less than or equal to x. Okay, now you can see that if any outcome is a part of this, it means its time average is less than or equal to x. Now if you shift this random process with time tau, the time average is not going to change because time average is the average of this random process from minus infinity to plus infinity. Right? It includes all the values. So even if you shift it, the time average is not going to change. So all the time average, if a realization satisfies this property, a shifted version will also satisfy the property. Okay, so this will be an invariant set. Another example can be A is such that the random process takes value 1 infinitely often. Infinitely often means no matter how long you wait, after that there would be at least once that random variable takes value 1. Okay, so this is also an invariant set because if you shift the process, okay, that is just delaying the random process, right? It's not going to stop xt to take value 1. Okay, another example can be that xt takes value at least once, right? So if xt takes value 1 at least once, then even if you shift it, that I'm not putting where it takes. I'm just saying it takes value 1 time. So even if you shift it, it will still take value 1 at one time. So these are example of invariant set. Okay. Now from this invariant set, I'll define the ergodic process, that a process is said to be ergodic if all invariant events, right, either have probability 0 or probability 1. Okay, so this means if a set is invariant, its probability is either 0 or either 1. Okay, so it means either it includes all realization of of one probability, or it does not include any realization or any probable realization. Right. So what does this tell me? That if you look at this, an invariant set is made of shifted version of the realization in layman terms. So it means that if one of them, a realization is there, then its shifted version should make the complete sample space. Right. It means that if I just look at one realization, all the other realizations should be just a shifted version of this. Only then I would expect that taking one realization is enough as and taking one realization and looking at over time is sufficient, is same as looking at different realization at a particular time. Okay. Now, again, one more thing, we also learned that because our goal is to find where the time average and the ensemble average is same, we also find that the ensemble average is a function of time, right? While the time average is not. So if we want that equality, we want to make sure that the mean is constant. Okay. So we are more interested in talking about stationary ergodic process where we can ensure that the mean is constant over time. So we have now this interesting result that if a random process is stationary and ergodic, then the time average of any function of random process is same as the ensemble average of that function of x. Okay, so if you take one just identity, then this just means that the time average of x is same as the ensemble average of x. And we say it almost surely because there can be some realization with probability 0 where they may not be true. Okay, and remember that to prove something as ergodic, you have to prove that for every invariant set, it's either p equal to 0 or p equal to 1. Okay, so proving ergodic is little bit involved. I'm not going to talk about that. But suppose you know a process is ergodic, then basically you just can assume that the time average is same as the ensemble average. Okay, so you can definitely tell when some process is not ergodic, right? If you find that this condition is not satisfied, then it cannot be a stationary ergodic process. Okay, so stationary ergodic process says that their ensemble average is equal to time average, and the idea here is that each realization of the process should be the typical or representative of the process as a whole. Right, but representative means you can just take one realization and look it over time, and this should give you the same information, same feeling if we have actually done this process multiple times. Right, so every realization has the full information about the process. Okay, so in the noise example, that this means that if noise is an ergodic process, that you don't have to do, if suppose you want to compute, see how does noise look like, then you don't have to do this experiment multiple times and observe different realization. You can just do one realization for a long period and observe it, and you will get what different values noise take, what is the mean, what is autocorrelation of that noise. So, which of the following is ergodic, right? So, look at this. There is a random process which it says that xt is equal to y, where y is some random variable. Okay, so this means that for every omega, xt is a constant and it takes value y omega. Okay, so different realization. So y omega is a number, right? For every outcome, xt takes value of at y omega. So for different outcomes, it takes different values of y. Okay. So if you just look at one realization, you will only see one value which is constant. Okay, while different realizations take different values of y with the same probability as y, while a single realization just take one value corresponding to that omega, right? So this is not an ergodic process because a realization is just constant, but different realizations take different values. Second one, xn, where xn's are IID, so it's a discrete time process, and we just take a collection of random variable where each random variable is IID. Right. So if you look at a single realization, you will find a sequence of independently identity distributed random variables. Okay. And if you look at one realization at, different realization at one time only, like for example, let's look at x1 only, n equal to 1 for different realization, those will also be independent random variables, right? And they will have the same distribution. So looking at one realization or different realization at one time is the same thing. For ergodic process, the time average power of each sample function is also equal to the ensemble average. Okay, so if I just take the average of x square, time average, which is defined as the integration of x square t omega dt over minus t to t upon 2t, this time average is equal to the ensemble average of x squared. Okay, so just remember this because each relation of process is typical, so I can just take the time average of x square also. Okay, and what is the x square t? If you remember, this is can be written as expectation of xt into xt. So this is also the autocorrelation at tau equal to 0. Okay, and ex square t also can be computed at variance of xt plus mean of xt square. Okay, let's take one more example. Suppose I randomly select one of the two distinctly biased coins and start tossing it, right? So this example is like this. We have two coins and they are biased, right? It means one coin may give you a head 3/4 of the time, and second coin may give you head fifth 5/6 times. Okay, so if you pick one coin and start tossing it, right? Suppose you pick the first coin, right? You will get a particular realization, right? And in that realization, you would expect head to come 3/4 of the time. Similarly, if you pick the second coin and you start tossing it, you would expect head to come by 5/6 time. Okay. So if I look at one realization, both realizations are different, will give you different time average, and they do not have the similar amount of heads, right? For example, if I do this experiment multiple times, right? Every time I pick a one coin and toss it, then I go again, pick one coin and toss it, right? Then you would expect that half of the times I will pick coin one and half of the time I pick coin two. So the total probability of getting a head is actually half into 3/4 plus half into 5/6. That is the probability of getting ahead if you look at different realizations. Okay, but if you just pick one realization, you will get either answer 3/4 or 5/6. So this is not a ergodic process. Okay, is this a stationary process? Right. You can look at you can fix a time and you can look at the distribution and you will find out that no matter what time you pick, uh, the experiment remains same. It is just picking one coin out of two and toss it, right? So distribution does not change over time, right? But the realization, it's not an ergodic process.